Hello everyone, this is Dong. Today I want to do a game research based on the flow model to explain why Cocoon can provide players with a smooth gaming experiences. Also, since this is a general framework for the paper I will submit at the end of the course, Introduction to Game Research. This may sound be a little academic. Please bear with me. This video will be divided into 3 parts. Exciting series, my own deductions, and the practical implementation. I will also use Cocoon as a case study to demonstrate how these ideas are applied. Now let's start with the first part, the flow theory. Flow was first proposed by physiologist Mihaly, who described it as the mental state of being completely immersed in the current activity. Its most significant feature is being focused without requiring extra mental effort. He also proposed that the key condition for entering a flow is a continuous match between the user's skills and the challenges represented by the activity. Therefore, we can use skills as the x-axis and the challenges as the y-axis, and draw a ray with a slope of 1 to represent a perfect match between skills and challenges. In actual experiments, people have found the skills only need to be within a certain range of challenges to enter flow state. This gives us the classical three-channel model. When skills are significantly greater than challenges, meaning the game is too easy, so we feel bored. When skills are significantly less than challenges, meaning the game is too difficult, so we become anxious. We only enter flow when we are in the right zone. Next are my deductions based on the classical flow model. Considering the fact flow is a process that unfolds over a period of time, we should add a process axis. In a game, this represents the game's progress. By using this axis, we can redraw the flow model to show how challenges and skills change over progress. Based on this, let's consider any game, excluding cases with a dynamical difficulty adjustment, like the well-known direct system that adjusts the difficulty based on player performance, or games where you can manually select difficulty. Also and randoms, like roguelike games with random speed. So except those cases, the challenges curve is the same for every player, but the skills curve is different for each player. We can't guarantee that every player's skills will remain with the flow state zone. This leads to the first condition for most players to enter flow. Their starting points must be almost identical. In other words, they must have a similar baseline skills. I will save these details of how to achieve this for the third part. So let's assume we can now make all players start from a single point. However, each player's learning speed is different. For example, some players learn very slowly. This is shown as a low sloping skills curve, making them enter in the anxiety zone. To solve this, we need to introduce a concept, skill checkpoint. What is the skill checkpoint? For example, a platforming section, a puzzle, a group of enemies, or a boss fight. These come in many forms, but their core purpose is the same. The designers need to confirm the player's skills. Only if your skills meet a certain condition, then you can move on. For a platforming section, you must jump across to proceed. In a puzzle, if you can't skip it, you must solve it to continue your progress. Therefore, we can use the skill checkpoint created by designer to break up the original continuous line into multiple segments, as shown now. Let's imagine a player whose skills start from a certain point, but they don't learn anything, and just wander around the game. We will see that they will jump out of the flow state and into the anxiety zone. The logical solution is to add a checkpoint here. We can then pull the player back to the required skill level, because if they don't reach the skill, they can't continue. Thus, the player's skill curve will have a kink like this. By redrawing the graph with checkpoints based on this theory, we can derive the second condition for helping everyone enter flow state. We need to appropriately increase the number of skill checkpoints to keep everyone's skills within a certain range. At this point, it seems we can ensure that players stay within the flow zone no matter what. However, it's far from over. Let's reconsider. Progress doesn't fully represent a game. The true horizontal axis should be the player's gameplay time. Why use time instead of progress? In puzzle or Souls-like games, if you often fail and get sent back, well, your progress hasn't changed, but your gameplay time is still increasing. By converting the x-axis to time, we can account for this period that is missing in the progress graph. This also explains why some short-level games too hard to maintain a flow state. The time between levels can cause a break in the flow. Based on our new model within the time axis, let's consider a scenario. A player starts at a point. Their skills go, but then they fail. The game sends them back to the start point. This means the progress they made is gone, and they have to start over. In this case, there will be a gap where the player's skills are higher than the challenges they are about to face, leading to boredom. This explains why after repeated failures, you get tired of the early parts of the level. You are repeating them, but your skills have already surpassed the challenges they provide. This leads us to our third point: reduce player failures and the number of times they have to backtrack. This new information-based model can explain many things that the previous flow state model couldn't, such as why explosion can also create a flow state, or why a brief pause doesn't break the flow. This involves complex brain mechanics. For instance, the brain might have some informational delay. When there is a lot of information, it processes it in small batches. So unprocessed information might carry over into the next time segment. This provides a brief, continuous supply of information even if the game temporarily stops providing it, which is why the flow isn't broken. After all this, it's important to remember that all my deductions have a single premise, that the challenges of a game are the same for different people. But in reality, the situation is much more complex. Everyone has different experiences and attitudes toward life. For example, when I play a horror game, my brain just freezes. It can't process any information. So for me, a horror game is harder than others, and it's more difficult to enter flow. For some more emotional people, when they play emotional games, they might find it easy to resonate. When they resonate, they collect more information, including their past experiences, and the information they need to process increase. So a seemingly simple emotion game can let a person who resonates with it allow them to enter a comfort zone. Finally, we come to the part you should like the most: how to implement the points I have discussed. First, regarding similar baseline skills. To achieve this, you can either make the game very difficult or make it completely unique, something no one has ever seen before. Just like when Portal was first released, this naturally makes the game more challenging. This corresponds to the two ways games can become harder: stats and mechanics. For example, in Souls games, Different bosses have different movesets. That's mechanic. Or they just hit harder. That's states. From information perspective, a change in mechanics is often more valuable than a change in states. For instance, moving from one Souls-like game to another, the core control logic doesn't change much, so you can often get the hang of it faster than a beginner. That's why a pro player can still win championships in another fighting game. So you can say that the condition to make skills more reusable is a brand new mechanic. How to achieve this? Let's look at how Cocoon does it. At its core, the spheres in Cocoon are just portals connecting to the inner and outer worlds. However, Cocoon adds another layer. Has anyone seen a portal that a player can carry on their back? I haven't. And when you carry a sphere in the outworld, it can trigger special effects. This is a new mechanic. Let's look at another example. My current favorite game, War. Having a bomb blows something up is a common trope in movies and games. But is there a game where you can only jump by using bomb to blast yourself into the eye? I haven't seen one. So a new mechanic doesn't have to be a groundbreaking innovation. Simply repackaging existing concepts can work just as well. For instance, in a previous video I inverted the mechanic of OR, making the player be the bomb. When something is nearby, it creates an active force that pushes the players in the opposite direction. Although the final result looks similar to all, but there is a significant fundamental difference. Also, when you make the player be a bomb, some wonderful effects naturally emerge. For example, when it's just a corner wall, the player can fly at a 15.5-degree angle. A double jump is also a natural outcome. To be honest, when I was testing the code and stumbled upon this effect, it was completely blown away. It was truly magical. If you are interested, you can check out my previous video. I want to set up a future topic here. I'm very curious about can I use this series and the particle methods I have discussed today to turn the bomb game to a flow game. Okay, that's all for this video. I apologize that I couldn't cover the remaining points and show how Cocoon implements them in one video, although I have already written the first draft of the rest of the content. I haven't finished reading all the literature, so I can't guarantee that everything I have said is completely correct. That's why I want to split it into two parts. To first discuss these ideas with you and see if you have any feedback or corrections. This way I can correct my mistakes in the next video and we can discuss the points you are interested in. This is a commitment to myself and to all of you. Thank you for your understanding. If this video was helpful to you, please like or subscribe button. It means a great deal to me. See you next time. Bye bye.